The story of eggs in modern nutrition is a powerful case study in how public health advice can shift, sometimes dramatically, as science evolves. Once praised as a symbol of nourishment and strength, eggs were later vilified as a dietary hazard due to their cholesterol content, only to be gradually redeemed in recent years as research has dismantled many of the fears that dominated late 20th century nutrition policy. This back and forth reveals the deep complexity and occasional missteps of public health messaging, where the intersection of science, politics, industry, and public perception often produces more confusion than clarity. In the early and mid 1900s, eggs were a dietary staple. High in protein, affordable, and easy to prepare, they were considered an ideal food for growth, energy, and brain function. But in the 1960s and 70s, as heart disease became the leading cause of death in many industrialized nations, nutrition authorities began searching for dietary explanations. Cholesterol became a prime suspect, and since eggs, especially the yolks, contain about 185 milligrams of cholesterol each, they were quickly put on the limit list. By the 1980s and 90s, government guidelines and health organizations recommended limiting cholesterol intake to no more than 300 milligrams per day, which effectively translated to no more than one egg per day, or less. The messaging was clear, even if oversimplified. Cholesterol raises blood cholesterol, and high cholesterol causes heart disease. Eggs, by association, became a food to avoid. This led to a cascade of consequences. Low cholesterol, low-fat egg substitutes entered the market. Restaurants and food manufacturers reformulated products to cater to cholesterol-fearing consumers. Many people ditched whole eggs entirely, believing they were choosing a healthier path by opting for cereal, toast, or low-fat yogurt instead. But as nutritional science advanced, the picture became more complicated, and the warnings began to unravel. By the early 2000s, a growing body of research showed that dietary cholesterol had a much smaller effect on blood cholesterol than previously thought. For most people, the liver compensates by producing less cholesterol when more is consumed through food. In short, eating cholesterol doesn't necessarily cause high cholesterol in the blood. Large-scale studies and meta-analyses failed to show a consistent link between egg consumption and increased heart disease risk in healthy individuals. Some even found that eggs could improve HDL, the good cholesterol, and have a neutral or beneficial effect on cardiovascular markers. And beyond the cholesterol question, eggs were found to be rich in critical nutrients: choline, essential for brain development, lutein and zeaxanthin for eye and cognitive health, and high-quality protein that supports muscle and metabolism. By 2015, the U.S. Dietary Guidelines removed the cap on dietary cholesterol altogether, acknowledging that it was no longer a nutrient of concern for overconsumption. This marked a major reversal and a quiet admission that earlier guidance had been overly restrictive. Yet the public trust had already been damaged. Many remained skeptical, confused, or fatigued by the constant shifts in dietary recommendations. The eggs fall and rise also exposed a deeper flaw in public health policy: the tendency to single out individual nutrients, like cholesterol or fat, as villains, rather than looking at whole foods in their natural context. This reductionist approach led to decades of unintended consequences, including a surge in ultra-processed low-fat products, increased sugar intake, and metabolic dysfunction that arguably worsened public health instead of improving it. Still, the story isn't entirely positive. Not all eggs are created equal. Industrially farmed eggs from grain-fed hens may contain less beneficial omega-3s and more inflammatory omega-6 fats. Meanwhile, how eggs are prepared matters. Boiled or poached eggs with vegetables have a different health impact than eggs fried in processed oil and served with processed meats. And while eggs are safe for most people, individuals with genetic conditions like familial hypercholesterolemia or certain metabolic disorders may still need to moderate intake or consult with a specialist. One-size-fits-all advice never works well in nutrition. In the end, the evolution of advice about eggs teaches a larger lesson. Nutritional science is a living field, and our understanding must evolve with the data, not get stuck in outdated fears. Whole foods like eggs, which nourished generations long before nutrition labels existed, are often far healthier than the highly engineered alternatives designed to replace them. Eggs are no longer the dietary scapegoat they once were, and for good reason. But the damage done by decades of misguided advice reminds us that public health guidance must be grounded in rigorous, up-to-date science, not simplistic assumptions or fear-driven narratives.